What's up you guys, welcome back to another top 10 Commander video. This time I would like to talk about my picks for the 10 best uncommons in the Commander format. But before I get started, first I would like to point out that most of you who are watching right now are not actually subscribed to the channel, and I do really appreciate you taking the time to hit that subscribe button because it does help this channel out. We are getting really close to 21,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support. Now again, kind of going back to my criteria for my commons video, it's not about cards that were printed as uncommons at any point during their history. This list is really to showcase the power coming from cards that were originally printed as uncommons. And you're going to notice that some of these cards have been upgraded to rare. These are the 10 best here. Number 10 is Cabal Coffers. Originally printed in Torment, this is really the closest you're going to get in black to a Gaia's Cradle ability. It does require a bit more of a setup, and you do have to pay 2 mana and tap it, but the mana production that you get is still insane in a 4-player Commander game. Of course, the favorite combo here is to pair this up with something like an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, so that you turn all of your non-swamps into swamps, making the total amount of mana that you get off of Urborg, if you're playing something like a 2-color deck, just pretty much equal to the total number of lands you have. Only number 10 because this is really a mono black staple. If you're playing mono black and you want to make your deck a bit more competitive, here you go. And then number 9 we have Isochron Scepter, one of the biggest combo pieces in the Commander format. It's a competitive EDH combo piece as well. It's cheap enough, it's easy to tutor, and you get to combo with another spell like Dramatic Reversal. Usually that combos off and provides you with infinite mana with your mana rocks and mana dorks that tap for mana, so that you can then just win the game right then and there. Only number 9 because it's rarely ever just used to take advantage of any 2 mana or less instant, something like a removal spell. It's most of the time, like 95% of the time, used to combo, so to me that kind of holds it back a little bit. It's not really something that sees casual play. Number 8 here is Blood Artist. Also a nod to Zulaport Cutthroat, but I think we all know which one does more damage. If there's a board wipe that destroys all creatures, your opponents have a ton of creatures, this will count all of them, and while you don't get the trigger that hits each opponent like with Zulaport, the total number of creatures is going to be higher, and you can single out certain players if you want to. It's a little bit more political because of that. To me, it's the better of the two easily, and it's just a staple in so many decks because of how cheap it is and how easy it is to kill off creatures. Aristocrat decks take advantage of cards like these all the time. Number 7 is Krark Clan Ironworks. This is one of the most expensive uncommons. Sacrificing any artifact to give yourself 2 colorless mana is ridiculous, and the fact that this card hasn't been reprinted should really showcase its power in any sort of setting. This card will absolutely dominate if you put it in a standard legal set. It is 4 mana to get out there, but you pretty much have guaranteed yourself an easy way to get colorless mana for the remainder of the game. And of course in Commander it's a combo card, just crazy how much you get off of it. And then number 6 we have Skull Clamp. Now we're talking about cards that see a little bit more universal play. Skull Clamp as an uncommon. Again, we're going back to Dark Steel, Mirrodin, Fifth Dawn. Just really, really powerful cards for the time. Still powerful now. You know, you pay 1 mana, you put this onto a creature with 1 toughness, you kill off that creature, and you get to draw 2 cards. Now, for a bit of perspective here, that's what most people settle for with a card like Village Rites. You want to pay 1 mana to sack a creature and draw 2 cards? There you go, that's a staple now in so many decks. Skull Clamp lets you do that over and over and over again. If you have a lot of tokens, it's a very easy way to fill your hand and then even just win the game. And then number 5 we have Swords to Plowshares, a nod to Path to Exile, but I think we know which one's a little bit better here. If you don't give an opponent a land and you just give them a life gain, it's less of a useful resource to them. You never want to help your opponent get an extra land, but still, uncommon level removal for just 1 white mana. It's a staple in so many decks. While you might value non-creature removal more, being able to deal with several different permanent types, for just 1 white mana, you get to exile. That's rarely ever going to happen again in this game. If you get cheap removal, it's pretty much just going to be 2 mana, and if it's only 1 mana, it's just going to destroy a creature and they get some sort of token in return. Number 4 here is a bit of a tie. I know I do this sometimes, but you can't blame me for having Enlightened Tutor here with Mystical Tutor and maybe Worldly Tutor. I would say Enlightened Tutor and Mystical Tutor are definitely there on the same level. Enlightened Tutor can be used to search for combo pieces in the same way that Mystical Tutor can search for certain instants and sorceries that you need to win the game. But all of these are just great. They're 1 mana, they all pretty much do the same thing. You search for that one card and you put it on top of your library. Doing this on your opponent's end step means that you spend the least amount of time waiting to draw into that card, so these tutors tend to be above average when you're looking to add one to your deck. And then number 3, speaking of Krark Clan Ironworks, Ashnod's Altar. Another brilliant uncommon, one of the best uncommons ever made. You sacrifice a creature and get 2 colorless mana. Now this is a lot easier to synergize with because there are just more creature-based decks than artifact decks. And even if you're not comboing, it's a lot easier to take advantage of just sacrificing a tiny little creature for 2 mana so that you get to feed that mana into a bigger spell. That isn't to say Ashnod's Altar doesn't have its own combos, I just think it's more practical. If you're not always looking to go off in some sort of infinite combo and the card is still powerful, I think that does work in its favor. And there are just a ton of sacrifice decks, there are just a ton of aristocrat decks that love killing off their own creatures. So number 2 here we have Demonic Tutor. We just talked about tutors with Enlightened Tutor, Mystical Tutor, and Worldly Tutor. Demonic Tutor is, again, one of the best uncommons ever made. We're getting to the top here. You don't have to reveal the card you search for and you get it straight to your hand. Don't have to worry about instant speed tricks or anything like that. You don't have to reveal. Big time reason why Black is so strong in Commander is because it has the best tutors. In a format that is so inconsistent, if you're able to make your deck more consistent by playing a tutor card, it's almost like you're playing 2 or 3 copies of the same win con. It means that your rate of seeing this card during a game goes up. And you have a 99 card deck, so you should be looking for cards like these. Now before I go on to number 1, let's talk about some honorable mentions. Windfall is a very good uncommon. It's always been a useful one if you're looking to play blue in Commander. A lot of fun tricks that you can pull off. And for the longest time, if you're looking for any sort of wheel, by comparison to some of the other ones, you got like Time Twister, and Windfall is definitely a budget alternative. Then we have some of the best Commander options that happen to be uncommons. You have Aralmi, which is really just taken off in Commander. That Encore ability is brilliant. We also have Tatiova Benthic Druid, who's also been a very popular commander, very consistent in that strategy of playing lands and drawing cards. We have the wonderful Lightning Greaves. Lightning Greaves is also a staple in the commander format. Its ability to give a creature Shroud and Haste makes it a staple with that 0 equip cost. Sensei's Divining Top is another great card. While it's not ultimately necessary, some decks that need that top deck manipulation always look to play something like this so that they can be assured of what they're going to draw into. And then as a nod to a newer card here, we have Secret Rendezvous. I think this is one of the better uncommons printed in recent years because it offers you white card draw at a very affordable level. For 3 white mana, you're going to give that card draw to an opponent, but in a 4-player game, that's usually easy to assess who's your enemy and who's not, who's a very low risk option. So drawing 3 cards for 3 mana in white is just so ridiculous considering that we see this in green and black for 4 mana. So number 1 here shouldn't be a surprise to any of you who know your uncommons. It is Sol Ring, just going to be at the top of lists for many years to come because of its impact in both casual settings and more competitive settings. You really can't go wrong. Sets you up for a very powerful game. It is to the point where many playgroups actually ban Sol Ring just because of how unbalanced it is to get 2 extra mana turn 1. Most ramp is around turn 2, and even some people settle for turn 3. So getting this at turn 1, alongside a lot of the rare and mythic rare, 1-costed, 0-costed mana rocks, it just makes it very difficult for your opponents to keep up, and it allows you to do more earlier in the game, and the more that you can do earlier in the game, the better chance you have of winning. So anyway, let me know what you think about this top 10 list of the best uncommons in the Commander format. Let me know in the comment section your favorite uncommons. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Void here signing off, have a wonderful day.